Hello there. Greetings, fabulous people. I'm Greg, aka Rathe Apprentice. Thanks for stopping by an impromptu livestream. Brought to you by the Rathe Adventures. Shout out to the Rathe Adventures and Techlo Crow for asking me to help spoil some of the cards that are going to be appearing in Chapter 4 for the Rathe Adventures. If you don't know about the Rathe Adventures already, I'll tell you a little bit about it before I show off these awesome spoilers. Essentially what it is a PVE homebrew format produced by Techlo Crow. And the way it works, I think the easiest way to describe it is it's something similar to Flesh and Blood having a baby with Arkham Horror. So if you're familiar with the Arkham Horror LCG, it's a self-contained multiplayer co-op card game where you battle against typically spooky related things. It's a Lovecraftian themed card game, and it's one of the best co-op card game experiences I've ever had personally. Hey, what's up, Ashen Wings? Thanks for stopping by. So if you haven't played Arkham Horror, I would strongly recommend it. But if you're here because you're a Flesh and Blood player and you're like, what the heck, where's the PvE? Well, the PvE's been here for several years, thanks to Techlo Crow with the Rathe Adventures. And what, as I adjust Twitch chat so it's not completely entirely directly over my face. Oh boy. Moving everything. The Rathe Adventures is Techlo Crow producing a awesome homebrew PvE format where it's similar to Arkham Horror, like I've said several times now already, where it's a dungeon crawler, basically. You and a group of heroes bring blitz decks, and you'll play against the dungeon master, and they have a dungeon deck, which is all the cards that make up the dungeon that you're going to go through on this adventure. And there are all sorts of scary, evil things that you encounter along the way as you're exploring this dungeon. One of the things that's very cool about it is it's a narrative PvE experience. There's another PvE experience that I've harped on a lot called the Overlord Engine, which is this wonderful app that basically has a selection of, I think it's up to 10 or 12 different bosses that you can fight in groups of up to 4, or if you really wanted to, more people. But that's just, you're fighting one boss and then that's the end of it. This is like I said, it's narrative driven. So there's a story that's been developing, and I am here to reveal some cards from the Chapter 4 release, which is the final chapter in Volume 1 for the Rathe Adventures. Hopefully there's a lot more to come. But right now I'm just going to shut myself up, and I will make myself go away so that we can take a peek at these cool cards that Techlo sent me. So I will pop them up here and talk about them in just a sec. So these first things that are revealed here are the 2 mini-bosses. So as you're traversing the dungeon in the Rathe Adventures, there are 2 mini-bosses that you find before you come to the final boss of the dungeon. You know, think old-school Legend of Zelda games, right? So these are returning bosses from previous chapters, hashtag spoiler alert. But we've got Adnar Deceived Spirit and Terrar Power Liquidated. They're both pretty scary, so these are things that you'll encounter as you're adventuring in the dungeon in Chapter 4. I don't have the Skeletal Knight or Old Blood zombie tokens up that I can show you right now that either of these cards reference. But if you want to see those, you can go to FABTCG because that's where all this stuff is hosted, and you'll be able to see all those things, because those appeared in previous chapters. But that's not all we're showing. There's also quite a bit of... Adnar does seem really fun. I agree. It's an interesting puzzle, Ashen Wings, right? Where they're if you get hit, you lose intellect. So it's an interesting challenge. But here are some of the items and relics that you can discover as you're spelunking in this dungeon. Really interesting stuff, and a lot of these aren't the only things. The way the module usually works is there's a randomized set of treasures that can be found in different areas of the dungeon, and a lot of this is up to the dungeon master, right? I am particularly interested in the Liberator, this generic equipment. It's wild. It's got temper, and it starts with 4 defense, but as an instant you can destroy it, banish all cards from target hero's soul. Each hero in your party gain 2 life for each card banished this way. Yeah, also that protective amulet, Ashen Wings, I agree. That thing is bonkers. There's some really cool stuff and interplay that you can do when you discover these things. And for those of you who don't know all the lore and backstory of Greg here, I live in a town where I don't have a local game store or other people in person that are interested in playing Flesh and Blood. So I haven't had a chance to do this yet, but I've printed all this stuff off, and I've got it ready for when I go to my next event, because I'm going to twist several people's arms into playing this with me. But yeah, that protective amulet from the Dark Dimension is wild. So these are just a few of the things. I believe there have been some more items and treasures previewed on other channels. I know Riddlerman Gaming spoiled some stuff for this as well, so go check out their YouTube channel after you've finished watching this. But yeah, and the thing that's really cool is Teclocro is going to be in Tampa Bay for the world premiere of Rosetta, and they're going to have Volume 4 there. So if you're interested in trying this out, hunt down Teclocro. They'll be around. I think they had said that on the Sunday they're going to be trying to set up somewhere and maybe have like an impromptu sign for anybody that wants to give the Rathe Adventures a try. They're also going to have physically printed copies of these available, like nicer versions as opposed to just printing regular printer paper and stuffed in a card sleeve with another random card. They will have them for sale there. I should have looked at my phone ahead of time so that I would remember how much they told me everything was selling for, so that this would have been a much smoother sales pitch for them. But unfortunately, this is what you get when you hire old Darth. Yeah, I don't remember how much they said. I know that they've been working on this for 2 years. One thing to keep in mind, that depending if this is something that you want to try in terms of allotting for time, sessions on average take 1.5 to 2 hours. They could be a little more, a little less. If anybody's played Dungeons & Dragons, you know how things like that can go. When you get a group of people together doing something fun like this, time sometimes develops into more of a flat circle than we'd like to believe. But yeah, again, shout out to Teclocro for sending me this stuff to preview for Volume 4, rather, of the Rathe Adventures. Go follow Teclocro on Twitter. Go to FABTCG so you can look through this stuff and print and play it. It's awesome. This is the perfect PVE product, in my opinion, for a true dungeon crawler, narrative-driven PVE adventure that I think a lot of the Flesh and Blood community has been clamoring for. But like LSS have said, they're focusing on making the best competitive trading card game they can, and that means their focus isn't on this type of product. But now we really don't have to wait for it. There are 4 chapters available. Like I said, go to fabpve.com, check it out for yourself. Thanks for stopping by. If you hung out this time with me, shout out to you, Ashen Wings, for hanging out. All right, that's all for me. I've got to go take my dog to the vet, but I hope you all are well. Everybody going to Tampa, travel safe, have fun, and I'll see you next time.